Hello, friends. Thanks very much for tuning in. So today I'm very happy to have two gentlemen as special guests of mine. These are, I look at them as two icons of the music industry. And they're with me today to talk about an upcoming recording that's going to be released on September 11th. Both of my guests are multi-Grammy Award winners. They are the musician's musician, if you will. And of course, everyone who knows you, they would agree with me on this. So they have joined forces, come together to put together this new recording, which I've been listening to all week here. Thank you, Randy, for sending the wave files. It's called Double Dealin on the Shanachie. Did I say that right? Shanachie. Okay, well. All right, so all these 10 songs, man, they're just fantastic. It makes for a beautiful body of work. So I'm honored to introduce my two of my favorite musicians, Randy Brecker and Eric Marienthal. Thank you, gentlemen. How you doing?
Oh, thanks for having us, Carl. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Carl. Thank you very much.
Well, I'll tell you, it's an honor for me. It really is. I'll take 30 seconds, just say, I kind of already said this off camera. Randy, my 7th grade English teacher, 1973, turned me on to Billy Cobham, is what he calls him. And
many people do.
And Chick Coryell. He said, it just sounds better. So I don't think that's how it is. But anyways, that's when I got started listening to you, because you and your brother, Michael, were on the Crosswinds album and many others. And it turned my path from being a Buddy Rich fanatic, which I still remain to this day. But look at the world that opened up for me. Amazing. And Eric, the work that both of you have done, I'm just glad I've gotten to see you perform many, many times. And in fact, together on a Lorber tour, maybe 10 years ago, 12, I don't remember exactly. But anyways, so it's great to have you. Tell me, how did this project come together? I know you've worked a lot together, but this recording is special. You're joining forces. How did the concept come about? Where did the ideas come from?
Well, I got a very well-received email from Eric suggesting the thing, and in fact, I think he knows this. I've mentioned it before. It had been suggested to me years ago by a booking agent from Spain, Jordi Sunyol, who thought it would be a great pairing, and we just kind of never got around to it. He kind of even got out of the business for a while, but it always was circulating in my head. We had worked together so much, so in one word, I just said, sure, let's do it. And here it is. So it was a great idea. First instigated by my man, Eric, who I love to play with, and we took it from there. And I have to give him kudos also for hiring George Whitty, who I've been working with on all the Brecker Brothers records, a lot of my solo records. So that was his idea too, and it would just work fantastic. You can't go wrong with George. And I might want to add something.
Oh, that's very clear. You won't go wrong with him. I mean, I'm going to just interject for a minute. The tunes, I've been listening. There's some, first of all, I don't know which, I'm going to go stream of consciousness. Some of the keyboard sounds, wow, great choice of sounds. And the mix on this, the production that came out, the way it's beautiful mix. I love how it came out, compositionally, musicianship-wise, production-wise, it's fantastic. And of course, you have an all-star lineup, right? The two of you, Mr. Weckel, and then Mr. Patitucci, and of course George Whitty. Doesn't get much better than that, right?
Right. George actually came about. We both teach for an online school called Artist Works, and so there's a classical component and a rock component, very strong guitar component, and a jazz component to the school. And so George is the piano teacher, I'm the saxophone teacher, and John Patitucci is one of the bass teachers. And so we did a project where the company is based in Napa, California, heart of California wine country, so it's never a bummer to go up there and do projects. And we filmed a day-long jazz project for our school, and I had been thinking about George for a long time, and working with Randy, of course, and I've been a big fan, and just like the idea of doing this record with Randy. I mean, I when I sent that email to Randy, I was I was about to make a joke and say, what Randy just said is totally not true. He called me begging to make this record. He just, wasn't doing anything, and, just sitting around. No, couldn't be farther from the truth. And so when Randy, so graciously agreed to do the project, we were tossing. I forget exactly how the original idea came about, but I know that I was working up in Napa with George, and really after we were done, I just looked at him and said, I have this idea about doing a project with Randy, and it would be amazing if you would consider producing. And without a moment's hesitation, he said, yes, let's do it. And then he spews out all these ideas for what he wants to do, and production concept and overall music concept, and then when we were talking about possible mix engineers too. A lot of times producers want to get that out off of their plate because that's a whole other animal. And a lot of times people, writers or producers, want to have maybe either it's just because it's just so much more work, or just want to have another perspective. He really wanted to take that on as well, including the mastering, and he just has a real vision for not only a lot of the production ideas, but just how the record was going to sound. And it's just got this really great pop. Everything has a space. You can hear everything really amazingly well, and yeah, it could have been.
Yeah, it does. It came out like that. It's perfect.
Yeah,
How far?
I just want to interject here too, because it's lucky that we know each other so well, because in the mixing process, it kind of can get sticky, because one guy hears one thing, another guy wants it another way, and
Sure.
We just didn't have any problem with that, and we really took it to the limit. I think both Eric and I, with George, we had our opinions as horn players. I think that was part of it, with regards to the way we wanted to sound. Maybe we wanted a little more ambience than he had first thought, but just due to the fact that we're really good at working together, nothing was a problem. We just sent files back and forth, and
Cool.
As far as I'm concerned, it just came out perfectly. I mean, and I always say I mean that as a compliment. It's just there's nothing I would change in the way it turned out mix wise, and that quite often, more often than not, you can't say that.
I haven't done that much recording, but I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Especially between bandmates or whatever the group. Especially like this, it's pretty much the same people on every track,
Yeah.
and opinions from everybody. Sometimes it doesn't work out as well, but this sounds like it was nice and smooth.
Yeah, that it was.
That's great, man. So I'm just curious, a little bit off of the subject of this here. When did you first work together? You and Eric and Randy. Yeah.
We were trying to figure this out.
Yeah.
Making this record. Was it the GRP Big Band?
Yeah, I think it probably was the GRP Big Band, but we had probably done. We were trying to figure out the moment we met, and I think as far as we remember, it was probably at a festival where we were playing opposite each other. Maybe those guys with Chick and me with my brother. That's hard to. But it's hard to remember back that far. But I do think the first time we actually played together and got to know each other better was on the GRP Big Band records and tours, where I came out to LA a lot, where we recorded, and we went to Japan, and we did a lot of gigs together during that period.
So about what time period are we talking? 90s, 80s?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Early 90s, right?
Yeah, I guess early 90s was, it would have been early 90s, because I was just joined GRP with, in addition to Mike and my brother and I were putting the band back together. That was part of it. So I got accepted into the GRP family. So that would have been probably 90 or 91, and the first record came out, Return of the Brecker Brothers, in 92. So it was around that time period.
Yeah. So another side note, that's the first time I ever saw Dennis play. You came through Syracuse at Frank's Fest, Brecker Brothers, Mike Stern,
yeah,
Dennis, and I forget who was on keys, but man.
Probably was George. Would have been George.
I think it was
there
but
the whole
holy
time.
crap, man. I just got to see it live. So that was just so great. So I want to go back to the some of the tunes here, man. I wrote down some notes because I think it takes a special series of events to draw out certain sounds, like the way John Patitucci's upright sounds on Three Deuces. Wow, man. I mean, it just sings. It sings. Of course, you have a song in here for Chuck Loeb, who I only saw once, but wow, what Mind the Fire, what a beautiful song. And you both work with Chuck quite often, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we were both real good friends with Chuck. Actually, George and I wrote that tune, "Mind the Fire," right here, sitting in this chair.
Oh, that's cool.
And we actually, funny enough, we wrote it, and early on in the process, when among the tunes that George and I wrote together for this project, we did them down here, and for that tune, we never really had a preconception for anything, I don't think, going into our little writing get-togethers, and we just kind of bat around a couple of ideas and start pounding some chords out and go into a particular direction. With that tune, it wasn't intended originally to do something for Chuck. It wasn't like we started with that idea, but we played, and I guess we were both in kind of a melancholy mood. I don't know, but that started coming out, and very quickly, I mean, probably 10 minutes into it, I said, this would be a really cool, dedication.
It's a great dedication, great tribute to him.
And so so we, George played keyboards, and I said, I hadn't really played anything. And I said, as he was leaving, I said, I'm just going to lay something down real quick on the melody as you're heading home, and I'll send it to you. And then we'll have at least a guide, so we won't forget some of the ideas. And so I just played through it. And as sometimes it works out, he called me and said, man, that's it. And I remember, Chuck was a really close friend. Chuck and I wrote a lot of music right here. We did a lot of stuff right here in this room as well. And he was a very, very, very close friend. And I remember playing, I was kind of tearing up, and I was playing, I really, feeling it. He says, man, I could just feel it. And I said, yeah, but it was just a demo. I'm emotional anytime I'm going to play the song. And he said, I said, I'm sure I can do it better. He goes, no, that's it. Don't you dare touch it. And so, but obviously I said, well, we got this other guy, the trumpet player guy to consider, So I just sent it to Randy with a couple of ideas, and Randy just took it and just played. And it sounds very much like, we, in fact, not to go on about it, but, Randy just used his great sensibility as to where to play and what to play. And at one point in the song, towards the end, we're both playing the melody, but we're both interpreting it, so it's not like we're trying to match each other at all. And first time I heard it, because Randy just played it without hearing me, and vice versa. I hadn't heard him, obviously. And the two interpretations just work. And
yeah, wow.
I don't want to say divinely inspired, but it was divinely inspired. It just really.
No, that's cool, man. And I love some of the stories about how things come together. I'm sure you both have many stories. You've done so many recordings, right? So many recordings, which is amazing. But that's a great story. I love that.
Yeah, it's funny. I was listening to it the other night, maybe just 2 nights ago, and I had it on real low volume, and I mistook the alto for the trumpet and vice versa. We were just on the same. It was partly because it was low volume, but we were really on the same wavelength. And I listened to a little. Oh wait, that's the alto. It's not the trumpet. And
that's great, man.
So we were really on the same wavelength there. Just came out great.
That's cool. That's cool. One of the things I always love are odd time signatures. And forgive me for asking, I don't remember who wrote Jet Lagged.
Ada.
Yeah, that's
Your wife,
Ada's
right?
my wife. Yeah,
Your
she
wife
had.
wrote that.
Yeah, she had that one in the can, so to speak, and I thought it would be a good one for the record. I thought it would, and George agreed when I played it for him. I thought it was a good fit, and it is indeed in 5/4, and I'm still maybe in 4/4+1 when I play it, but or if no 4/4, then wait. That's my technique.
It reminds me of a story. I might say it if we have time, but it goes into 4 at some point, I think. But yeah, 5. Yeah.
I blow over the 5/4. I think Eric's part might have been in. I might be wrong. Maybe it's your.
Oh no, I got the easy part. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and another thing that stands out a lot to me, which is the second instrument I would have chosen would be bass. And I've owned basses in my life, and I suck, so I didn't do it. Just such a slow learner. But the way John Patitucci uses the low end, and he uses the whole range, right?
Yeah.
But man, there's some beautiful low B, whatever's down there, that B string he's hitting, and that just adds something, another dimension that you don't always hear. But it's also in a context of, usually it's only 3 or 4 of you playing at once, so you can really hear it. And that's throughout the album too.
Yeah, I love the production choice on the part of George to, on this record, there's no guitar and there's no percussion. And on a record like this, you would think that there would be a significant amount of percussion and guitar as well. And there is percussion here and there is guitar, but it's all George.
Yeah, he's great at the programming stuff.
Yeah.
Man.
And
wow.
Well, I mean, great is really an understatement, man. Well, there are tunes on this record that that George programmed the entire track, except for Randy and I. And the drums, it wasn't like he just found some drum patch out of a garage band. I mean, he just, he's playing those instruments. And Weckel called me after hearing one of the tunes. He said, and this is Dave Weckel, one of the, your drummers. He said, so who is that playing drums? Or is that George? Or he didn't know for sure.
Yeah.
Said, oh man, you figure it out, buddy. I'm not going to tell you. Come on.
Yeah, it's true. When I first heard the record, I had to really look because I wasn't sure what one was
That's what I'm doing right now.
Which was Weckel and which was the drum track.
Yeah. So on Sam Bop.
There's Weckel. We needed Weckel for sure.
I can hear him on there, but I was trying to distinguish which might be which. I'm not even sure I actually know all the time. And then on Jet Lagged, I actually never even thought about programming, yet it is, and it's so well done. So that's just fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's George, one of a kind. Nobody could do that like he did.
And none of it, like I said, none of it is a loop either. I mean, it's all, performed. Like a player would perform,
That's a good point. Yeah, you're right. There's no loop in this. Let's see what else I wrote down. Sam Bach. Again, I'm hearing the low end of the bass. I'm hearing some really beautiful keyboard sounds. And of course, the way each of you play individually, of course. I love, Randy, some of the muted stuff. I just happen to love muted stuff, and then you open it up to non-muted on I forget which song, but maybe Habanero. Yeah, which attracts me. That the name, it draws me in because I'm a hot pepper fanatic. I mean, I'm up to the Carolina Reapers now, so habaneros are cool too. Weird what makes people look at a song title and listen to it, right?
Yeah, that's an art unto itself, I think. And I like all the, we bandied some of them around a bit, me and George at least. I don't know how much Eric was in that conversation, but the titles, most of the titles really fit the tunes really well. That's important, or they have some musical component that is in the tune.
Absolutely. So
one of George's tunes, actually, I forgot. Oh, we have one title on a song called Fast Lane, and then I was going to call that's one that George and I wrote. But then the eighth tune Oh, I thought about calling Fast Eddie, and Fast Eddie because it's got this kind of thing. And I forget. I think maybe it was Randy.
Yeah, it was. It was
Too much fast, man. You can't.
Yeah, there was too many tunes with fast, and plus,
Fast Lane, yeah.
it's funny how things happen. Bill Evans has a tune called "Cool Eddie," and I thought, well,
Oh,
really?
Yeah, right.
So we decided to change, and not similar, but a little similar. But
so I put the tune back on.
Yeah, that's the part of the part of the. Usually, the last thing is finding good titles. We all have a lot of number one, number twos, number threes laying around, and
yeah,
that's always.
I've heard about that. I couldn't write a song to save my life, but if I did, I'd have to find a name for it, I'm sure. I imagine it's not that easy. Yeah, so there's something else I want to say. I love there's True North is a witty song, is that a witty song? It's a haunting, like a haunting type of melody.
He and I, George and I wrote that together.
Okay, that's, yeah. Well, and then the other thing I want to say, besides how you play individually, obviously as a section, well, I've seen you live together too. I'll never forget the Lorber concert, man. It was just so tight. Everything, I think it was Lionel, somebody who plays Left-Handed Ride.
Lionel Cordew.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, Lionel, Jimmy, Jeff, the two of you, and just that was a beautiful show. And as a section, it's just like, just like that. I love it. So
Randy like that is like, Randy's sound is as big as a house, and so it's easy. And the thing about, not just saying that because he's right here, but Randy's intonation is just so spot on. Sometimes when you're playing in a section, you just if there's intonation problems between horns, between yourself and somebody else, a lot of times you're it's hard to focus in, because if you're not sure that the person you're playing with is in tune or not. I mean, I don't mean like really, really out of tune. I mean like even just, slight perceptionally out of tune or slightly out of tune on certain notes,
Right.
With Randy, his pitch is just so spot on that anytime there was a problem, I knew it was me, and it was easy. I just, I can adjust to that, and I know it's going to be consistent. And that's a real, Randy and I both come from, a lot of situations where you're, I mean, Randy and Michael were like one sound,
Yeah.
You talk about intonation and just creating, the sum of the parts, the sum being greater than the parts,
Yeah.
But, and then on this record too, it was just, anytime there was an issue, as far as intonation was concerned, I just knew, I knew I had to be the one correcting it, and, and match that. And then playing live too. Not only that, but, Randy just has, and everybody talks about this too, it just has a feel. It's just one of those intangibles about a person's musicianship that you can't, it sounds cliche, but you can't teach that, man.
Right.
Study it and you listen,
Yep.
and you're aware, but there's just a certain feel. And it was really, I always learned so much getting to play with Randy live, because, it's just, there are certain intangibles about the way somebody plays a particular phrase or something that you feel a certain groove that, it's just incredibly comfortable.
Absolutely. I mean, in my own experience, which is a completely different level than either of you, but it's still, I can relate to that to a degree. Just the whole, not the in tune part. I'm a drummer, but maybe you locking in with a bass player or something, and that feeling you get when you feel like you are a part of each other, so to speak, and you can rely on each other too. It's so amazing to have that type of feeling, that dependability, that you can count on that person and they can count on you. Mm-hmm. And that comes out in this album, man.
Cool.
Comes out.
Yeah,
so
let's
I just want to repeat a little bit here. Yes, that's exactly what I was going to ask you. Let's talk about the album. The release date is September 11th, 2020. Can you hold that a little closer for us, please, Eric? There it is, Double Dealin.
Come on.
Shanachie Records, right?
Shanachie.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Shanachie Entertainment debut offers this soulfully inspiring album in space. I love that. The press release is great too. So September 11th. Now I'm assuming this will probably be available on multiple digital platforms. Is that right?
Yeah, wherever
Yeah.
you get your music.
What's great is this is a real record company, and they really know what they're doing, and they've had a lot of success
Yeah.
the last few years. It was Chuck's label, as a matter of fact, and that's how he
Oh,
achieved his fame. And we are hoping for the best because we've already done a lot of promotion. Their promotional department is very good, and they just know what they're doing. So we're looking forward to see what happens, so to speak.
well, that's great. That's great, man. So, well, if you don't mind, when I end, just hang on with me for like 30 seconds. Just a couple of things I wanted to ask. But any any additional things you want to share with my audience? Because I'll do my best to get this out there and push it everywhere, and hopefully get people to drive to the site, buy it, download it.
Well, it's good. It's a good one for your car too. That's where I enjoy listening to it the most. That's a big plus for me, having a drive around record. So it's just for my money, it's good in any circumstance. You know, it's got that certain quality where if you want it just in the background, it's a cool one to have in the background. And if you want to really sink your teeth into it and listen, there's a lot to really listen to. There's never a dull moment on the thing. So that's my 2 cents about the whole thing. And rarely do I make a CD that I'm drawn to listening to afterwards, maybe once or twice. But this one, you know, when I really just want to relax at the end of the day, I find myself putting this thing on, and it's just really cool to have.
I've been doing that since Monday when you sent me the files.
It just works like that.
I got 4 days of listening under my belt. So, Eric, anything you want to say before we sign off? And I'm just going to hold this up so people can look again.
There you go. Yeah, no, I am just proud beyond words to have been able to make this record with Randy, one of my absolute musical inspirations and heroes. And you know, I feel the same way. I just, you know, it's sometimes you listen to music that you've made and all you think about is, you know, woulda, shoulda, coulda, you know, how could I have improved it? What, you know, what, you know, maybe I should have played a different solo or whatever. Or, and this record is just, it really just feels so great. I get a smile on my face every time I put it on. And you know, it just really, you know, I've gotten a chance to send it to a few people, and the reaction that we've gotten from folks is just so, so gratifying, you know. So it's fun. It's great to be able to make music at all, and to be able to, you know, have a project like this with Randy is really extremely proud.
That's great, man. I mean, and as it should be well received, because it's Jimmy told me the words "body of work" 10 years ago. So it's a great body of work. Everything complements each other too. The flow of the songs. Whether you're listening to one in particular or the listening in order, it's a great flow, great ensemble, great writing, production. I love it all, man. So I wish you the best of luck with this too. I'll do everything I can to help.
Well, thanks, Carl.
Thank you very much, Carl.
We appreciate it.
Thank you, gentlemen. Randy Brecker, Eric Marienthal. I really appreciate you taking the time because I know you're both really busy. And it's an honor for me to talk with you. And good luck with this, man. This is awesome.
Thank
I hope
you.
to see you again soon.
Yeah, we'll do it again. Thanks, man.
You got it, my friends.
Bye-bye.
Take care now.
Great to see you guys.
Likewise.